Brown. And a little later, I'll be speaking with author and activist Bridget Gabrielle. But first, he is the 11th-term U.S. representative from Texas's 14th district, a former presidential candidate. You all know Congressman Ron Paul. Congressman, look at that. The economy is so bad you can't afford a jacket.
Oh, that's right. They took it away from me. Maybe next year.
So, Congressman, I wanted you on this first show because, of course, we're spending a lot of money, and you have always been the guy who stood up in Congress and said, this is what's going to be the death of us. But my question to you, I guess, is, now that we're in this fix, what is your alternative plan to spending a lot of money, and how would that be better?
Well, the real problem is that we need to do a lot less. We should be doing hardly anything in Washington. But politically, that is unacceptable. But that's the right thing to do. Because when you develop a financial bubble and have too much investment and too much debt and too much malinvestment, you have to liquidate it. In 1921, we had a severe depression. It was over in 1 year. A little bit later, in the 30s, we had another one, but then the government decided to do all these things, bail everybody out. Exactly what we're doing now, and it prolonged the correction. So it's sad, but the whole thing is you should let these banks go bankrupt. You should let all the companies go bankrupt that overextended themselves, but politicians would feel like they're, not necessary, and they wouldn't like that, so they have to do something. But everything they're doing is wrong so far.
But if that's true, why do so many economists say we should do the opposite?
Do a lot. Well, you're listening to the wrong economist if you think they're serious. All Keynesian and socialist welfarists will say you have to do something. But if you believe in the free market and you understand the business cycle is caused by the Federal Reserve System. You know that you have to get rid of the mistakes that were built into the system. The real cause is created by the Federal Reserve. And yet, very few people are even talking about the Federal Reserve.
But isn't the free market what got us into this situation? It must be a hard pill for you to swallow, because I know free capitalists like yourself hate socialism. But it's the screwing up of the free market and capitalism that now has brought us socialism.
Yeah, okay, now you've touched on the most critical question ever in dealing with that. Because in the 30s they said that, but in the 30s they said the same thing, that capitalism and the gold standard caused our problems. It was an absolute falsehood. It was the Federal Reserve and government intervention that caused it. Today, we haven't had capitalism. We haven't had capitalism. We've had too much regulation, too much spending, too much debt, too much inflation by the Federal Reserve. So we weren't even close to capitalism.
But that's in the past. I mean, we're in this fix now. My question to you is, if we did nothing, as you are proposing, or even cut taxes and spending, give me a realistic estimation of what this country would look like in 6 months, in a year, in 5 years.
In 1 year, 6 months in a year would still be tough, but it would be over. But the way we're going now, it's going to last for 15 years. That's where the real problem is. But the whole thing is my argument won't work unless you cut. And I say you have to cut and balance the budget, but we're spending $1 trillion on overseas maintenance of our empire. I say bring all our troops home, quit spending this money, save hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yeah, I agree with
that.
Cut
the deficit, spend that money, some of that money at home. But you can't keep printing money.
Right. If we want to get serious, we have to really get serious, which would be, I agree, ending things like our overseas empire. Right. What about, when FDR came into office in '33, one of the first things he did was repeal prohibition. He said, we can't afford this anymore. Well, we have prohibition in this country.
Depression.
What's that?
That didn't cause the depression.
No, but when he was making radical changes, he said, look, we're serious now. We're going to get serious, and people like liquor. Well, in this country, people like pot. And if we ended that prohibition, that would be a giant boon of money.
Oh, okay. I don't like pot, but I hate the drug war, so I would repeal all the prohibitions. But I wouldn't even bother taxing it. I would just say that people have the right in a free country to make important decisions on their own lives. If they want to make mistakes, they can. They just can't come crawling to the government to be bailed out or taken care of if they get sick. But I believe in freedom of choice in all that we do, as long as the individual never hurts anybody else. So that means I would get rid of all the federal laws. I would dispose with the drug war. We're spending tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars on this, and then we march into places like California, override state laws, arrest sick people, and put them in prisons. It makes no sense whatsoever.
Amen, Stoner. So, let me ask you. You say you don't like pot, but you know, it kind of ended up where you look like you did. But okay. So, so the Republican Party is about as popular as peanut butter right now. And they're the ones who are arguing for this fiscal conservative approach. But, you know, do you guys have any credibility? You're the ones who ran up, you know, a couple of wars on the credit card and the drug entitlement thing for the Medicare. You know, I mean, that's where the money goes. It seems like in my lifetime, Bush, the second Bush, and Reagan, these were the guys who broke the budget. Clinton's the one who left it. Okay, how did your party get to be the one who's preaching about fiscal conservatism?
Well, they preached it, but they didn't practice it. So they have absolutely no credibility. I hope I have a little bit. But, you know, the Democrats haven't been in charge too long yet, but they're going to lose credibility if they expand the war. What about sending 17,000 troops into Afghanistan? I mean, that's not the way to have change. I want the troops all to come home. I don't want to expand the war in Afghanistan. So we need to do that, or you'll lose credibility, too, as all the Democrats will.
Right. I'm with you on that one. Thank you. Congressman Ron Paul, everybody. All right, time to meet our panelists.